Welcome to Lesson 6 of Systemed Mastery, the one where logging stops being a scavenger hunt. Think back to the bad old days. 50 services, 50 log formats, 50 paths, and at 3 a.m. you're stitching grep, awk, tail, and maybe Splunk together just to find yesterday's error. Systemed collapsed all of that into one structured indexed journal. Every service, every kernel message, every auth and syslog event, queryable through a single front door called journalctl. Over the next 4 pieces, we'll cover the journaled model, the 10 flags you'll actually use daily, persistence and rotation, and how to bridge to syslog when you must coexist. So let's start with the journaled model itself, because this is the shift that makes everything else possible. A log entry isn't a line of text anymore. It's a record with 30-plus fields you can query like a database. That gives you 4 superpowers grep simply cannot match: structured fields you can filter by any combination, binary indices that turn million-entry searches into olog n, lookups, boot awareness so you can jump to the crash 3 reboots ago, and the classic 0 through 7 syslog priorities, now actually searchable. Same data you always had, finally queryable. To make that shift concrete, here's the same task. Find nginx errors from the last 5 minutes, written 3 ways. Error 0. Tail the right file, pipe through awk for the timestamp, then grep for error, and you're still asking yourself which file. What about the kernel? Do I need Splunk? Error 1. One journalctl command with a unit and a since flag. Most engineers land here and stop. Error 2 adds -p err to filter by severity, and JSON pretty output for tooling. That right column is where senior fluency actually lives. So let's build that vocabulary. These 10 flags are the entire alphabet. -u for unit, -f to follow, -n for the last n lines, -p for severity, since and until for time, -b to hop between boots, -k for kernel only, -o to switch output format, grep for rejects inside the message, and underscore prefixed fields like PID and UID for structured filtering. Learn these 10 and you compose them like Lego. Unit plus severity plus since plus JSON pretty, and you've replaced a 30-line pipeline with 1 line. And here's that Lego in action. 8 one-liners pulled straight from real on-call shifts. Nginx errors in the last hour, a multi-service tail across nginx, Postgres, and Redis, kills since boot, crashes from the previous boot, JSON piped into JQ, every sudo today, sh login failures by user, and the journal's own disk footprint. The rule at the bottom is the whole lesson. Every 3 a.m. alert has a 1-line journalctl that finds it. Burn these into your runbooks. But none of those one-liners matter if your journal evaporates on reboot, and on a surprising number of distros, that's exactly the default. Check for /var/log/journal. If it's missing, you're writing to a tmpfs in /run and losing everything when the box cycles. 2 minutes of work fixes it forever. Create the directory, let systemed temp files set permissions, restart journaled and you're disk-bound. Then cap it. System max use at 2 gigs, a 30-day retention, and vacuum commands for when you need to reclaim space on demand. Persistent plus size capped, that's the production baseline. Now, persistent and capped is great for you, but the auditors don't care. They want text files in /var/log, and Splunk's forwarder still wants syslog on the wire. Good news, you don't have to choose. Flip forward to syslog to yesinjournal.conf. Keep rsislog or syslog ng installed alongside, and journaled quietly mirrors every entry into a socket that rsyslog drains into the classic message files. Both worlds, same events, roughly double the disk. And when a chatty service starts drowning syslog, clamp it with max-level syslog equals warning, or go per unit with syslog facility and syslog level prefix in the service section. Bridge built, noise controlled. With the bridge built, let's step back and ask why this whole journalctl world matters for your career, not just your next outage. 3 principles. First, logs are data, not text. Once your services emit structured key-value pairs in message, queries get surgical. The same way moving from CSV to a real database changes what questions you can even ask. Second, time travel, journalctl B3, or, since with a timestamp and p-error, turns a multi-hour forensic dig into 2 flags. And third, 1 CLI replaces 5, tail, grep, less, DMESG, last all collapse into journalctl. That's a unified mental model every new hire learns once, and it compounds across every Linux box you'll ever touch. So here's your printable cheat sheet. Up top, the 8 syslog severities 0 through 7. Emerge, alert, crit, ER, warning, notice, info, debug, and you'll mostly live in the red end with p-error or p-crit, emerge, when you're hunting. Below that, the 7 patterns that cover maybe 90% of real incident work. Tailing a unit with U and F, scoping errors to the current boot with B0, jumping to the previous boot with B1 for post-mortem on a panic, filtering by PID or COM, and piping JSON straight into your aggregator. Print it, pin it above your monitor for a month. By month 2, you won't need it. Reading about journalctl won't make you fluent. Your fingers have to do the work. So 3 drills, on your machine, tonight or tomorrow. First, 20 minutes stacking flags. Union X, then add p-error, then since, then OJSON, then grep. Watching the result set narrow with each one until composing queries feels automatic. Second, 20 minutes making the journal persistent and size-capped, then rebooting to prove list boots shows more than 1. Third, 30 minutes writing 5 real on-call queries for a service you actually run, failed logins, kills, restarts, and saving them as a runbook.md. That file is the bridge from this lesson to your next 3 a.m. page. Before you go drill, here are the 5 mistakes that will cost you 20 minutes each, every single time. 1. Forgetting journals are ephemeral. No var log journal directory means journaled writes to RAM, and your evidence dies at reboot, so mkdir that path on day 1. 2. p-error alone hides warnings where the real signal lives. Use p-warning, 3. No filter on a busy server floods you with millions of lines. Always pin it with U, N, or since. 4. B0 is the current boot, but the crash you're chasing is on B1. And 5. Unbounded journals quietly eat your disk, so set system max use explicitly. Memorize the fix column. That's the whole slide. And that's lesson 6 in the bag. Logs decoded. You've got the structured model, the 10 flags that matter, persistence locked down, and the syslog bridge for legacy gear. Next up, timers, systems cron killer, on-calendar syntax, supervised execution, and structured logs for every scheduled job. That's stage 3 of 3 for operations. See you in lesson 7.